Righto guys, welcome to Creepers Cryptid and Paranormal Corner. Hope you guys enjoyed the last episode. Episode 4 is going to be about my second encounter with a Dogman in Western Sydney. It's all happened 3 days after the first encounter over at this new river system. It was on Boxing Day, so the end of 2020, it actually gotten pretty interesting. I had multiple encounters with cryptids in the space of weeks. Now, if you guys had listened to the last episode, you'd remember that I'd started fishing a new river system in Western Sydney. It's about 30 minutes from my place. And now I'd had multiple strange experiences, seen a lot of odd stuff, even before the encounter with the Dogman. I'd just like to add before I'd get into the encounter that this new encounter had happened at the first section I'd fished the 3 times I'd talked about in the last episode, where I'd seen the massive creature in the ghost gum tree. But as I'd had all that stuff happen, I decided to go downstream instead, heading in the opposite direction to where all this stuff had happened. So I'll get into the encounter now, guys. I hope you enjoy it. So as I was saying, the encounter happened early Boxing Day morning. It was 3 days after the first encounter with the creature, and the plan was to head downstream opposite direction of everything that had been happening. So I set up the kayak and was on the water. It was so good to get on the water and nothing had happened. Nothing had happened on the drive over or anything. Got it all set up, got on the water, and I felt real good. It's just good to be on the river and being able to have a fish and not freaking out about stuff. I've headed down from this section before on one of the previous trips just to have a look around and see what it was like. I didn't do much fishing, but I had a couple of casts and stuff like that and caught a couple of fish, so I was actually pretty excited to be out there. I'd only been fishing about 10 minutes and I heard something move in the bush just out of sight, like on the left hand side of the riverbank. I'd had a bit of a look around and couldn't see anything, and I couldn't hear anything more. So I thought, I might have been hearing things and just being a bit on edge from everything that had been happening to me. But as I paddled, I heard whatever it was in the bush start to move. Every stroke that I'd take with the paddle, this thing would take a step. If I took three strokes with the paddle, this thing would take 3 steps. If I stopped, it would stop. After about 100 metres stopping and starting, I realised the creature was massive. The sound of it moving through the bush, it wasn't anything normal. The sound of it walking through the bush and the fact that I could hear it walking on 2 feet scared the crap out of me. This creature was huge. It was bigger than any native animal I've ever heard walking through the Australian bush, and by the sounds of it walking and moving through the bush, it sounded heavier than a cow or a big racehorse. As I've said before, I've worked with racehorses for about 10 years. I've heard them walk and run on every kind of surface, and the best thing to do with a crazy horse is take it in the bush. Now, if you've got a crazy or a real flighty horse, best thing to do is head bush with it, get it out in the bush, get around the animals and stuff like that, and eventually you'll end up settling it down. This creature sure sounded a lot heavier than a 500 kilo racehorse walking around the bush. And as I was going down the river, out to my right, I actually noticed a grey flash through the bush, just like it had happened on the previous encounter. I thought, what the hell's going on? I got a bit nervous, now thinking what the hell was going on. Whatever this creature was, it was on the same side of the river as my car. If I was to turn around and head for the car now, whatever it was surely be able to get me as I was getting out of the car, getting out of the water or getting into the car. So the plan I'd come up with was to head down river, because the further I got down the river was the closer I got to the next town. So worst case scenario, I could jump out there with a kayak and call someone to pick me up. The same stuff had kept happening. Every time I took a paddle, this thing would take a step. It was doing me head in. I was freaking out. I didn't know what to do. I just try my best not to freak out and just kept paddling like nothing was going on. After about 20 minutes, I actually noticed I took about 5 strokes with the paddle and I didn't hear it again. And I sort of stopped then. I thought, what's going on? And this is when I actually noticed out to the left hand side, I seen something black in the bush. And I thought, what the hell's that? I'd actually got to a section I'd fished on one of the last trips I'd come down and had a look. And I'd noticed there was actually something black up in the bush and it didn't look right. It was out of place. It was about 50 metres from where I was in the kayak and something looked wrong. It was like, what the hell's going on? Like, that wasn't there last time I'd been here for a fish. So I pulled my phone out and took a couple of pics and then took off paddling again. Whatever had happened, whatever that thing was, whatever I'd seen in the bush, that big black thing, after I took those pics, I paddled off in the kayak and whatever it was, it actually stopped following me, which worried me a bit more. I thought, what the hell's going on? Is this creature snuck up a bit further and it's actually about to jump out and get me? I'd gotten about 500 metres down the river, And after not hearing the creature follow me anymore, I thought I'd stop on the opposite side of the bank, have a smoke and have a drink and check out the pictures. I pulled my phone out to look at the pictures. Holy shit, what the hell's that? Sitting right in the middle of the photo, there's a massive head. When I zoomed in, I absolutely crapped myself. It was a massive dog. What the hell? That thing was that black spot was at least 7 foot off the ground. My heart started to race. I was like, what the hell's going on? That creature following me sounded like a horse. Like, it was that heavy, it was that big. Like, it wasn't a dog walking through the bush. How big was this dog, and how could it have been sticking its head out of the bush like that? When you actually look at the photos, and I've done a video with the photos and that before, you can check out on YouTube and stuff like that, the 3 photos actually look a bit different. So I haven't worked out if that was because the kayak was moving, like just floating down the river when I'd stop paddling to take the photos, or this creature was actually moving and I caught photos of it. After looking at the photos for a while, I was freaking out. I didn't know what to do, and I thought, stuff it, this time I'm going to start heading for the car. I tried to paddle so fast without splashing too much and making too much noise, just so I could keep an ear out to see if I could hear the creature moving again like that, anything like that. I'd pull my Bowie knife out of my fishing bag and had it sitting between my legs, just hoping and praying I didn't have to use it. But nothing. I didn't hear one thing. Not even a twig snap. When I got almost back to the car, I actually noticed that a grey flash again out. This time it was on my left hand side because I was heading back to the car, but actually noticed that another grey flash go through the bush again. Thought, what the fuck is going on? Like, I've seen this thing 3 times now, and on 2 different occasions. So I got back to the car, safe and sound, got it all loaded up, and I started to head for home. The whole drive back home, like, I just couldn't stop thinking about the photos. What the hell is going on? Like, what have I got? I got home, I showed the missus, and she could see it as well. So I was glad I'm not just saying things and I wasn't just making things up in my mind. Like, there was actually a creature in these photos. She said to me, she said it sort of looks like a dog or a pig or something like that. And I know I've spoken to my auntie and a few other people, and my auntie even said, like, it sort of looks like a bit like a monkey as well. Like, a few different people have said different things, but from the way I look at it, it's a massive, like a black German Shepherd dog, or like a wolf, and standing about 7 foot tall. It wasn't a shadow or a stump or anything like that. Like, it was 100% something there. And when you zoom in on the photos, you can actually see so much more detail. It's actually kind of freaky that this all happened in daylight hours. The fact that this thing was stalking me, the way it did, shows that the creature is really intelligent, and the fact that it showed itself in the daylight hours, shows it's not scared of us and it knows it's top of the food chain. After talking to me missus for a while and keep looking at the photos and that, I messaged Yowie Dan again and told him about it and showed him the pictures. He said he'd be happy to come out and check out the area one day with his mate Attila Caldy. So we worked out a date and we headed over one afternoon to check it all out. We got to the area, we paddled down, my brother-in-law come over too, and we took 4 kayaks over, so all 4 of us paddled down to the area, and got to the exact spot, took some exact same photos just to make sure it wasn't pareidolia, and it wasn't. There was no shade there, there's no stump there, nothing. There was nothing that could have possibly been mistaken for this head that I'd gotten. So we actually decided we'd find a spot to jump out and go and have a look at the area where this creature was standing, and yeah, so we hopped out and went over and we actually found where it was, and we were looking, and where I'd actually estimated the creature's head to be about 7 foot tall, I was completely wrong. The creature's head would have been standing at about 10 foot tall, and that's just fucking crazy. Now, where this creature had its head sticking out of the bush looking at me, I actually thought the bank was a bit slanted and sort of went down on an angle back to the water, so that's why I thought it was 7 foot tall. But once we jumped out there and had a look, the ground was actually flat, and the whole bushland around it was like there's trees, and in between the trees was all vines and stuff like that. So where this creature actually was standing on flat ground, to have its head out this section that we worked out that it had its head out looking at us, its head easily at 10 foot tall. There was no branches around, there was no stumps, and any of the trees that are in the area, even if I'd climbed up it or a dog had climbed up it, they would have snapped before anything could be able to get its head out at that height. So this creature was definitely standing there, and it was definitely peering out, and it was, definitely a lot bigger than 7 foot tall. So it was actually pretty scary. And after going in there with them guys and having a look, I thought it actually helped me, but it actually worried me a bit more because it showed the fact that this creature was real and it wasn't just a shadow trying to scare me. We found a lot more stuff in there too, but I'm not going to get into that because Attila and Dan are doing another documentary, and we got a bit of footage in there and stuff like that. So you'll have to wait till that comes out and find out a bit more. But yeah, so until then, you check out the photos and see what you think. No matter what people say, these creatures exist, and they are living around populated areas. And I have no doubt that these Dogman creatures are the reason people in Australia and around the world have gone missing and never found again. They're smart, they're super fast, they're super strong, and they'll intimidate you, they'll toy with you, and they aren't scared to show themselves to people even in the daylight hours. I don't know how long these creatures have been in Australia. I don't even know I don't even have an idea how they even got here. I've not found any indigenous stories or paintings or anything like that on these creatures, which is really odd. There's so many stories and there's so many paintings and stuff of yowies, bunyip, and even big cats in Australia. There's even the cave paintings of these creatures are everywhere, but nothing on these Dogman creatures. Are these creatures some form of hominid, like a Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yowie, or a Yeti? Are they related to them? Are they some sort of extraterrestrial that have been brought here by aliens and stuff like that? Or are they some sort of animal hybrid? It doesn't make sense. Like, are they animal hybrid, natural, or even man-made? They ancestors of the biblical half-man, half-creature dog creature called the cynocephaly. Cynocephaly were a dog or wolf-headed creature with a human body. There are myths and legends about these creatures all around the world. India, China, the Middle East, Greece, most of Europe, and even ancient Egypt. Could this be what these creatures are? Sadly, nobody knows, and probably no one will ever know. No one will ever have the answers to these questions, but until then, everyone should know that these creatures do exist. They are in Australia, and they are a lot closer to people than they could ever imagine. And that's pretty scary. People should be warned about these creatures existing so people can keep safe, and maybe, like, it could be if people knew about this sort of thing, it could be the reason somebody gets found when they go missing, or at least someone might be able to find someone's body. And so a family's not sitting around for 20, 30 years mourning someone that's gone missing and they've never had a body to finish the grieving process. Like, it's just crazy. People need to know about these things, and like I've said, where these encounters have been happening, it's around 100, 200,000 houses. This river runs through towns, like massive towns, all the way to Sydney. Like, how the hell are these creatures getting around and people don't know about them? Or they just hear a noise and think it's something else. Like, people should know about these things. Now I'll put the photos up again on this at the end of this video, so you can have a look at them. Like, it's just crazy when you look at the photos. If you can't see a big dog or a big wolf right in the middle of the photos, like, you aren't looking hard enough. Like, you can see the eyes, you can see the eyebrow ridge, like the dermal ridge and stuff like that. You can see the protruding snout. You can see the pointed ears of this big black dog right in the middle of the photo. It's just crazy. Like, people just lose it when they actually see the photo. I've never seen anything like this on the internet. All the photos I usually see are, like I've said before, an eye or an ear from 500 metres away if someone's recorded on a potato. You can't tell what they are. It's all blurry shit, and it's just a bit of an arrow or a red circle around the creature. My creature's, I got the photo, it was right in the middle of the photo, and there's no mixing it up with anything. It's a big, massive dog standing at 10 foot tall with no reason for it to be that high. There's no branches, no stumps, nothing an animal could be standing on to get to that height. It was standing on 2 feet as I'd heard it walking, and that thing, it's just crazy. Dumb cunt. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. My second encounter with a Dogman in Western Sydney. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate if you like and share my encounters. might be able to get out to someone that's had an encounter in the same sort of areas, or might be able to help someone understand what had been happening, or even keep some people safe and knowing about these creatures that are out there and they do exist. I've built up a bit of a list of guests I'm going to have coming on the show, so hopefully over the next couple of weeks I can get a few of them out for you. I will still be doing a few more episodes on encounters I've had, and I'll start doing a few episodes with different cryptids, myths and legends and paranormal stuff that's all around Australia and maybe some from around the world. Until then, I hope you've enjoyed it, and keep safe out there, guys. Cheers.